Man, Phoenix just got blown out. I mean, just got blown out. I mean, it was a beatdown. I mean, you could. I mean, you know the NBA isn't fake because I mean you can't script like a blowout loss like this one. I mean, that was ugly. I mean, that was ugly. Like, oh man, hide the kids. Wow, that just and it's funny because as an NBA fan, like I was super into the game because I was trying to figure out like what the heck is going on. Like a 64 win team with all this talent, literally just falling apart. I mean, complete meltdown, just getting blown out by 47 in the third quarter. I mean, they were, I mean, literally, they were getting blown off the court. Like, I was actually, this is kind of funny. During the game, I was looking. I was like, man, I feel like this game is going a little bit fast. So the game started at 5:30. It ended at 7:10. So usually an NBA game is 2 hours and 30 minutes. This was an hour and 40 minutes. Like, I think it was so ugly. I mean, Phoenix gave up for sure, but it was so ugly that they must have been like, hey, like let's roll through everything. Let's just get this game over with. And then the people are like, well, no, we got to keep the commercials and the commercial breaks because or else we're going to lose money. And then the NBA is just like, man, this is just so ugly. No, we're going to lose more money by keeping this on. Just roll through everything. Let's just get this game over with. Because it was an hour and 40 minutes. One of the shortest NBA games I've ever seen. I don't know if this is true or not. That was just my impression. It was a very short game. And Phoenix just got blown off the court. And like I said, I was just mesmerized by this game because it's just like you're trying to explain like what the heck is happening, and like this is the reason why I make these videos is because when I don't know how to explain something, I love going on a video and just talking about it because maybe I'm gonna make sense of it because this makes no freaking sense whatsoever. Um, Man, like literally everything that could have gone right for Dallas went right. Everything that could have gone wrong for Phoenix went wrong. Um, so my best attempt to explain this. So let's try this. Uh, I think the first thing. I think Jason Kidd. I mean, this isn't the first thing, but I want to mention this. Jason Kidd, I thought made some really good adjustments. So both on defense and on offense. So on defense, he said, essentially, we're going to turn Devin Booker from a scorer to a passer. So they kept sending bodies, a little bit like Boston did to Kevin Durant. And Booker isn't used to that. And I think it made him uncomfortable. And instead of he didn't find the right passes. He didn't get other guys involved. He got so much attention from the Mavericks, and they're like, hey, today, like, I don't care I don't care if we lose, but Devin Booker isn't beating us. Like, there's no way Devin Booker's beating us. So they took out Booker, and for whatever reason, they didn't make good passes. I don't know. There was just very little ball movement. The other guys just did not beat. They just couldn't take advantage of that. But Booker, essentially, Dallas's whole defensive game plan was to take Booker out. Chris Paul was a no-show. I don't know why. Second game in a row. I think it's more than that. I think he hasn't had a good game since the second game of the series. So I don't know if it's because he's 37, lack of energy. We don't know. DeAndre Ayton was a no-show too. He only played 17 minutes. When they asked the coach, when they asked Monty Williams, they said, we're going to keep it internal. So I don't know what happened there. But yeah, I mean, so on the defensive end, I thought Jason Kidd's plan was genius. And then on the offensive end, I thought it was really smart too. He said in the beginning of the series, and I said this and I echoed this, like, you can't just have one guy. Like, Luka Doncic can't just do everything. And so if you're Dallas, the way you're going to win this series, they were going to win this series, they have to get somebody else involved. And, it's been Brunson who's helped out. But tonight, Brunson had a great game, especially in the second half. But it was especially Dinwiddie. I mean, Dinwiddie was just, that guy was on fire. And I don't remember him having another big game in this series. So this was kind of crazy, but it just seemed like he was walking on water, and he was just playing one-on-one basketball because so much attention was focused towards stopping Luka that Spence had more opportunities, and he took advantage of it. I mean, the guy's usually like a 40% shooter. I mean, tonight it just felt like everything was going in, and when that happens, like when you have one of those other guys just go off, especially on the road, because that's pretty rare. I think Dinwiddie was averaging like 10 points a game before this game. But when one of those guys goes off, it just takes the pressure off because now they can't just focalize on Doncic. And so everything on Luka. And so everything so for Phoenix, that's the same thing that needed to happen for them. One of those other guys beside Booker, just one guy needed to have a good night to open the court up for somebody else. And that just never happened. So they just kept throwing bodies at Devin Booker. Devin Booker's like forcing it. He couldn't pass out of it. So it was just, yeah, I mean, for Phoenix, it was a nightmare on the defensive end because Dinwiddie and Brunson got involved, and then it made it easier for Luka Doncic. And honestly, Luka didn't need much help because he was on fire too. So everybody on Dallas was on fire. Everybody on Phoenix, I mean, they couldn't have hit the backside of a barn. They couldn't have thrown, a golf ball in the Atlantic. I mean, it was bad. Man. And then, but I think the thing that for me that struck me the most was like how much of an emotional no-show the Phoenix Suns were. I've never seen this. I mean, usually there's some kind of fight, there's chippiness. I mean, something. The coach comes out and just throws a chair on the court. The coach gets tossed arguing for. I mean, do something to get your guys fired up. Somebody, nobody. It's like everybody was just. I mean, pan-faced, just couldn't believe what was happening. The players themselves couldn't believe what would happen, and they were just. It's like they were all just bystanders and watchers, and just nobody. I mean, there's no like leader, emotional intervention, nothing, and yeah, I mean, I've never seen it. I don't think I've ever seen this in an NBA game, even in sports where there's just like you're getting blown out in one of the biggest games. I mean, they won 64 games. This is game 7. They need this. Chris Paul's 37. A lot of his legacy hangs on this game. If Phoenix wins this game, they got a good chance of going to the championship and maybe winning the title, especially now that Milwaukee's out. And I mean, they're just a no-show. Like, no reaction. In their building. Like, that's the thing. On the road, that can happen because, with the crowd, the momentum, a team gets hot. Like, but this, you're at home. It's like, they were such a no-show. Like, the crowd couldn't even, like, get involved. Like, couldn't even cheer. There was nothing to cheer about. Like, there was nothing to cheer about. And the crazy thing is, like, I don't remember if it was end of the third quarter, mid-third quarter. I mean, fans just started leaving. I mean, just imagine you buy your ticket, like, you're expecting a big performance from your team who's been great all year, and then they just laid a dud. And not only did they lay a dud, but Dallas was just on fire. And it was just like, I mean, it was, wow. I don't know if I've ever seen this. I mean, 47 points. It was a 47-point lead. I mean, it was raining threes on Dallas' side, and Phoenix just couldn't hit one. So, yeah. I mean, I don't know what to make of it. But yeah, that's just a tough, brutal loss for the Suns. And yeah, I really, I mean, man, that's just one of those, like, you just take on the chin and you try to forget and you just move on because these are the type of things you just can't explain. I can't explain. Like, I can tell you why Jason Kidd, the great adjustment Jason Kidd played. I can tell you how good Doncic was and the other role players, how good they were. But why was there such a lackadaisical response from the Phoenix? I mean, they just could not respond. Like, I mean, at all. And it kind of, A lot of these games, the, like at the highest level of sports, it's a mental game. You have to be really mentally tough because there's going to be tough moments. There's going to be the other team's going to go on runs. There's huge momentum swings, and you got to be able to ride those out. And this was just essentially Dallas had the momentum early on, and literally they just kept it the whole game. And there's never a shift. Never. I mean, they just coasted. Like you would have thought this was a preseason game. I mean, the way Phoenix responded, there's just no response, no emotional response, nothing, you know. And so, one of the things that I think was kind of underlined this blowout was that I think there was a lot of pressure on Chris Paul. I think there was a lot of pressure on Devin Booker, especially after the comments he made during Game 5. Lucas special. So that puts pressure on him. And like I said, they just took out Booker. I mean, I don't know. I mean, except he's got to make more shots, but they just totally threw him off his game just with the coverages they were showing him. But that's no excuse. But just mentally, a lot of pressure on Chris Paul. And I think on Phoenix, there's a lot of pressure because they are the favorite. They were at home. They won 64 games. And they had to win. And they had to put on a show in front of their crowd. And so when they got off to a bad start, a lot of times before a game, when you're not used to these big games, it's like, I mean, they have some experience, and they went to the finals last year, but I think it's different when you're the underdog versus everybody expecting, a big time game from you. Everybody's expecting you to go through. Most people had Phoenix winning tonight, and convincingly. And I think, when Dallas came out blazing, and when they made their run, I think that's when there's doubts that come in. There's emotional doubt that comes in, and you have to be mentally tough to keep pushing through and staying on target and sticking to the game plan. What you're trying to do offensively, what you're trying to do defensively. But when they were down 15-20, like they just look lost. Like they look like they weren't they weren't emotionally engaged anymore. They weren't I mean, they were just playing not in the game. They were just I felt like they were just consumed with their doubts and their fear and what's going to happen if we can't get it done in front of our home crowd. What happened if we don't come back? Can we just start hitting some shot? And they were pressing, but it's like they were like they couldn't get it out of their system. Like, so they were feeling all these emotions, but they can't even let them out. And it just turned into an emotional no-show. It's like they were just stuck within themselves, and it's like there was no reaction. I've never seen this. Like, yeah, I mean, I can't remember an occasion where it's that bad. I mean, obviously there's games when, there's blowouts all the time, but at home, 47 point, you're down 47 at home, game 7. You won 64 games, you're the favorite. That's nuts. Like, yeah, I mean, it just shocked me. But anyways, I'm gonna end it on there because I can't explain it. So I'm gonna end it on there. I'm just super excited because I thought these games were really good, and now we got Dallas versus the Warriors, and we got Miami against Boston, and it's interesting because on the Miami Boston is going to be a huge defensive battle. And then the Warriors Dallas, I think, there's going to be a little bit more. It's going to be small ball, more scoring. So complete different matches, but they're going to be exciting for two different reasons. So I'm super excited. And anyways, you guys enjoy your evening, and thanks for tuning in. Bye, guys.